What's up, James? How you doing?
Hi. Good. How are you, man?
Good. Do you want to talk about your arrest?
Yeah, let me make sure I've got my settings right, though. Got my camera. Oh, and turn off my. Oh, boy.
I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about it, so I just wanted to go directly to the source. I've already got the video queued up.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm just making. All right, I'm on the right microphone. Yeah, man, I'm down.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and you can kind of just talk us into this, talk us through it.
I guess you just ask me any questions you want. Well, actually, I'll tell you what happened before this.
Okay.
So this cop was sitting on the right side of the road. He had just finished extorting somebody, and all the traffic is bottlenecking over to that left side, right? Trying to get out in the left lane so that we're not passing the cop.
Right.
So as soon as I pass, he pulls out, and we can tell he's coming after me from the very beginning. I don't even know why, though. Right here, you'll see he's actually right next to a car, and he moves over and he almost pushes that car off of the road already. There's some point where he's going to cross the line a little bit.
Yeah, and then doesn't he make a cut right as you're taking the exit, and he kind of crosses directly behind some vehicle? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, right now he's on the line right there. He's trying to push that vehicle off the road to squeeze in there to get behind me, which is why I decided I'm going to get off the freeway, because I know he's coming after me, and I'm not stopping on the side of a freeway. And this is Arkansas State Police. If you don't stop immediately, they're going to pit maneuver you. So I know he's coming after me at this point. I'm like, all right, sweet, I'll get off at this exit then.
Yeah, and check this out, guys. Look at this. Just boink. I doubt he used his turn signal too.
He almost pushed that car off of the road too. He moved over while he was right next to him. So.
Do you have a rear facing dash cam?
No.
Okay. So now you're trying to find a safe place to go. Let me just speed this up real quick. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna fast forward this to where he actually gets out and makes contact with you.
So the cat's out of the bag now too. I'm going to tell you some secrets.
Okay.
That were secrets. I think Merb outed me my first year or so of doing auditing or whatever. I have had a suspended driver's license for 19 years.
You freaking criminal. I didn't know that. Okay, now we can't talk anymore.
Yep.
You're not a fellow slave with the rest of us. Damn it.
And the thing is, I'd prefer to be a fellow slave. It's so much easier to obey master's rules than to take the whipping. But it's one or the other. And so the thing is, I carry on about my life. I produce for my family. I work. And in order to do that, I've got to be able to go from one place to another. I can't afford a driver. So I've been driving myself for 19 years.
Wait, you mean you can get along in life without deceiving people and extorting them? Are you serious?
Yeah, it's shocking, right?
I didn't know there was any other way to make a living. That's crazy. That's news to me.
So the thing is that every time I get pulled over, I know that I'm most likely going to jail. Most states will lock you up and impound your vehicle for driving on a suspended. So as soon as the lights go on, anytime they go on, I'm not worried about doing anything except making the phone calls I need to make sure somebody knows I'm in jail so I get bonded out. So all I was doing this entire time is kind of trying to ignore him and stall. And I was casually making phone calls to my wife and this guy, Sean, who lives 30 minutes away from here. Because I know as soon as I unlock the doors and he finds out I'm going to jail. That's all there's to it. And at some point, man, after so many years, you realize, all right, I can either fight him and one or more people will die, or I can choose to let him kidnap me. I'll give him some money. I'll get out and I'll go and I'll do it again. I've been doing it for 19 years. It's not going to change. So all I'm doing is stalling and trying to make sure I get calls out to get myself out of the cage that I know.
And at no point, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, at no point did you say you weren't going to show your ID, right?
No, never.
Okay.
I told him I'm working on it.
Right.
You know? And I was going through my phone. I was trying to get the insurance pulled up. A lot of people don't know this too, but insurance companies insure unlicensed drivers now because there's so many of us.
Right.
When I first started doing this 19 years ago, you couldn't get insurance, but most of them insure unlicensed drivers. It's kind of like insuring a teenager, though.
Yeah, it costs way more.
Yeah,
the premiums are through the roof. All right, so let's proceed with this right here.
Hey, what's up? Hey, afternoon. I'm Trooper Hoyt with Arkansas State Police. The reason why I stopped today is might be up on the interstate. You're falling too close to the vehicle in front of you, and then you made a quick exit. You got to signal at least 33 yards or 100 feet before you actually make that right-hand turn.
I was following too close to the vehicle in front of me?
Yes, sir. Do you have your driver's license proof insurance on?
How close was I to the vehicle in front of me?
Sir, do you have your driver's license proof
Did you
insurance?
realize that everybody had to move over because you were on
In a country that's ruled by criminality, let me just say, this is about as petty as you can get. It has to be 33 yards or 100 feet before you have to activate your turn signal 33 yards or 100 feet before you actually turn. Do you feel like you did that though?
I don't know if I did or didn't. I also don't think it's really relevant. I think
Yeah.
that we should do things like this to try to be courteous to the other drivers around us,
Yeah.
to try to signify and let everybody know what you're doing and what your intent is to do. But do I think that anybody owes anybody any money if they don't? No. And so I really don't know. I know that I exited last minute because I knew he was coming after me and I wasn't going to be pulled over on the side of a freeway. So
Yeah, and
30
along the
feet,
lines
100 feet, I don't know.
along the lines of harassment, one of the most important and valuable things that you have in your life that you can never reclaim or get back is your time. So even I think people minimize this aspect of it. Anytime a cop pulls you over, they are interfering with your time, which you will never get back. What if James was on his way to work? What if he was on his way
I
to
was.
home to oh, you were? Okay.
Yes.
So what if you were on your way also to, a more pressing matter, on your way to your house because you got a call from your wife and your child is bleeding and you need to get there as quickly as possible. These cops do not care about you. They don't care about your time, and they don't care how much time they eat up on your clock. So,
Brian, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because this is Arkansas State Police. This is the same troopers that did a pit maneuver on a pregnant woman because she did not immediately pull over. I knew
Yep.
I was in Arkansas. There's a reason I jumped off of that freeway. These are also the same troopers that a few months after that were trying to pull over a vehicle that was speeding to a hospital. They had their hazards on and they're speeding. They get off at the exit. The exit only goes to a hospital. That's the only place it goes. And he does a pit maneuver on them. He does a pit maneuver on them right there on the exit. And then they find out, oh, her mother's having a heart attack or something. And and they still take their time, trying to figure out what's what, who's who. Oh, okay, your mom's dying. All right, give us a couple minutes. Let us figure. Yeah, all right, go ahead. Take her to the hospital. We'll give you your ticket down there. Yeah, nothing else matters except their arbitrary, what they want to do in this moment. All life, liberty, and property aside, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
You just broke the rules.
Oh, you were pursuing happiness? Well, you're not anymore, buddy. Give me your driver's license.
You were trying to save your mother's life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Forget
exactly.
it. You're getting a pit maneuver.
Yeah. You everybody who's watching, if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, you have got to understand that this stuff matters and criminality matters. And criminality is still criminality, whether you have a uniform and a badge and come with the authority of the state or not. This is just a human being. We've got to get ourselves out of this paradigm where some human beings reserve the right to get one over on us rather than other human beings because they're special people because they have those badges. It is an absolute illusion. It's a travesty, and it's the conduit through which most evil enters the world because we keep submitting to these order following puppets who are like, well, sorry, James, I didn't write the laws. I'm just here to enforce them.
And so everybody had to move over.
Sir, do you have your driver's license proof insurance?
What's your name?
Sir, do you
And I want everybody to pay attention to how many times this trooper asked for some form of identification. It's almost like, buddy, do you have a line of coke? Do you have anything? I'll take anything. Drano, whatever it is, I'll take it. This guy's so desperate. Here, we're just gonna play it back. Let's count.
Hey, afternoon. I'm Trooper Hoyt with Arkansas State Police. The reason why I stopped today is might be up on the interstate. You're falling too close to the vehicle in front of you, and then you made a quick exit. You got to signal at least 33 yards or 100 feet before you actually make that right-hand turn.
I was following too close to the vehicle in front of me?
Yes, sir. Do you have your driver's license proof insurance on?
How close was I to the vehicle in front of me?
Sir, do you have your driver's license proof
Did you
insurance?
realize that everybody had to move over because you were on the freeway? You were blocking everybody's way. And so everybody had to move over.
Sir, do you have your driver's license proof insurance?
What's your name?
Sir, do you have your
What's
driver's
your
license?
name?
Sir, do you have your driver's license proof insurance?
That's 5.
Sir, do you have your driver's license proof insurance? Sir, do you have your driver's license proof insurance?
That's 7.
14 to 20. You care to not to my location. I got one. Don't identify himself.
not failing to identify myself.
Sir, do you have your driver's license proof insurance?
Pause the backup. Pause the slam on
Sir, do you have your driver's license proof
the
insurance?
I got it on video.
Sir, do you have your driver's license proof insurance?
Yeah, I'm going live.
So I was on the phone at this time too.
Okay.
So when I said I'm going live, I was talking to the person that I'm talking on the phone with. And most of the conversation that I have, I guess people thought that I was talking to the cop. Most of the conversation I had was the person I was on the phone with, which really pissed him off that I was ignoring him and talking to somebody else.
Which adds another layer of context because he can see that you can hear him, but he's continuing to ask for your driver's license or some form of identification, which in my world, if somebody kept doing that, it's like, wow, this guy has some kind of mental problem, or this is just it's something a child would do. It's like, Mommy, can I have a cookie? Mommy, I can have a cookie. About that cookie, Mama, can I have a cookie? He's like, man, no crack for you today, officer.
Your driver's license proof insurance, or I'm going to go ahead and detain you, okay?
For what?
Sir, you're on a lawful traffic stop. Driver's license proof insurance.
For what?
Driver's license proof insurance.
Following
13,
supposed you said?
14.
I've already explained myself, sir.
That's bullcrap. You know it. I got it on video. So why don't you
I don't know if you guys heard, but James Freeman just said that's bull crap and you know it. I got it on video.
move on with your day and I'll move on with mine.
Sir, driver's license proof insurance.
I'm going to reach in there for insurance. Is that all right?
I need your driver's license, sir.
All right, I'm going to reach in there for insurance.
That's completely fine, but I need your driver's license.
All right.
I need it now.
Reach in there for it?
I've already told you you can reach in there.
Oh, you guys said get it off the phone.
Sir, driver's license proof insurance.
Trying to get it on the phone right now.
You don't have it on you?
Trying to get it on the phone.
Why do you need it on your phone?
It's on the phone.
Okay, I need your driver's license.
God. Anytime you want me to stop, James, just let me know.
Okay. Anytime you got any questions, let me know.
Okay.
Or if anybody in the chat does.
I do.
either.
I do have a question. Like maybe on behalf of the audience, do you ever get nervous when you get into these kind of confrontations with, especially troopers?
I did this time, and the reason is because I haven't had this happen to me in about 7 or 8 years. I got pulled over for driving on a suspended 17 times in Arizona. And every single time I went to jail, and every single time they took my car. Every single time I would pay $500 to bond out and never show up to court. And I would go get my vehicle out of impound. So it was all a money thing every time. So when it used to happen to me every few months, every 6 months to a year or so, I'd gotten so used to it that it was just a routine thing. And so they'd pull me over. I'd get out of the car. I'd put my hands behind my back. They didn't have to ask for license or registration. It was, look, I know what you're here for. You're here to throw me in a cage and take my money. But I own a business. I had a lot of stuff to do. So I'm like, hey, let's just hurry up and do it. Because really what it comes down to at that point, when you realize what's really going on, is you're either going to defend yourself or you're going to give the armed robber the money. I knew I wasn't going to shoot him. And that's the only way to actually defend yourself. So I might as well just get out, hurry up, put your hands behind your back and give them the money.
Yeah.
And so back then, no, there was one time that I was so relaxed about everything that it made the cops scared, and he called for 10 backup units. And after the fact, I was like, why'd you call so many people? Like, I was trying to voluntarily hand myself into you. He said, man, you were just so cool. I've never actually seen anybody be so cool about being arrested before that I didn't know what your plan was. But this time, yeah, I was nervous. And it's that you're never planning on this happening, right?
Yeah.
I was going about my day. I was headed to Little Rock, Arkansas to apply for a permit to protest government. And so, I had things to do. I wasn't planning on, and now I'm in the situation going, okay, well, I know what's going to happen now. Now I've got to readjust all my plans for the day. And that's really what I'm thinking about. It's not, and also it's Arkansas State Police. And so I'm genuinely scared of them. I'm scared that they're trigger happy. Like the whole, hey, can I reach in my glove box? That's not just, trying to poke at him. Like, no, I'm scared to death of this guy. For
Yeah. It's not for show. You want to allay their fears and you want to calm them down and go, okay, What here? My hands are here the whole time. I'm just going to reach in and I'm going to get the thing that you asked for. Please don't look 10-2, officer. Look, I want to make you as comfortable as possible because I know how you guys operate. So when you say I wasn't planning on doing this, it's because you weren't planning on hurting anybody or stealing their stuff, because you can expect to maybe be stopped by even just a regular citizen if you're trying to harm somebody. But if you're going about your business not harming anybody, you wouldn't expect anybody but a psychopath to be interfering with your life.
That's right. Absolutely.
All right, let's get back to this.
Sir, you need to provide your driver's license, please. You said you don't?
I said I'm working on it.
You don't have a physical copy on you?
I'm trying to find out where it's at. You know what she's coming to. Hello? All right, send me a picture. You want a picture of it?
Your driver's license?
Yeah, and insurance.
If you have a physical copy, I need your physical copy of it.
So at this point, I was showing him the insurance on the phone.
Okay.
Are we in Arkansas?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. You guys the ones who do pick maneuvers on pregnant women when they don't pull over right away, is that right?
Sir, I need your
Did
driver's
you hear that,
license.
Brian?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
I said, you guys are the ones who do pit maneuvers on pregnant women when they don't pull over right away, right?
I missed that. Hold on a second. I gotta play that. I gotta play it
Are
over.
we in Arkansas?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. You guys the ones who do pick maneuvers on pregnant women when they don't pull over right away, is that right?
Sir, I need your driver's license proof of insurance.
My God. You guys are the ones who do pit maneuvers on pregnant women. Sir, I need your license right now. We won't talk about that. I know Barney, actually, and we actually all gave him a medal for that one.
Yep.
Jeez,
All
man.
right, you guys the ones who do.
Sir, I need your
What
driver's
was that cop's name? Can you remember that? I don't remember it
Uh,
right off the top of my head.
I don't.
Everybody put a 1 in the room if you remember the Arkansas state trooper who did a pit maneuver on a pregnant woman as she had her hazards on, was slowing down, was clearly not running for the police. The reason she wasn't pulling over is because there were concrete barriers, if I remember right, on both sides. She was looking for an exit so she could pull over safely, which is well within your rights under the law to do.
And her consideration was the police officer too. She wasn't looking out for her own safety. This was a bootlicking, hardcore statist woman who supports the hell out of the police. She was looking for a safe spot for him. It wasn't even about her. And he almost killed her.
Yeah, if anybody in the comment section remembers that cop's name. Oh, Rodney Dunn. Trooper Rodney Dunn with the Arkansas State Troopers Association, or whatever it is.
insurance.
I'm trying to get
God, I'm so glad you said that thing to him about the pregnant women. Do you have that on a recording inside your car?
I do. I haven't released any of that stuff. I can send you stuff though. I'll send you exclusive stuff.
Are you planning on releasing any of that?
I wasn't planning on telling the public about any of this.
Oh, okay.
And the reason is because it doesn't align with what I normally do on my channel. I know some people think it maybe does. And I guess it kind of crosses into that area, but most people, especially my subscribers, I don't know. They say they want liberty, but then at the same time, a lot of people just really don't comprehend what it really means. And so if you're not following the written legislation, then you're doing something wrong to most people.
In what way in your mind? In what way in your mind are you thinking that it doesn't align with regular content on your channel? Because it does look like it fits.
Yeah,
perfectly.
I can see, because I post stuff where I think that it's 100% provable that the government is in the wrong. And even though you and I see that the government is in the wrong in this instance, I don't think the majority of society sees that at all. And I think it's a stretch to try to get them to that point right now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the way people are so propagandized and brain pickled, I would tend to agree with you on that.
What's that? Text me or what? This phone? Text me.
I think there's a lot of dead space here. Let's see. Let's go over where the trooper goes to the other side of the vehicle. And let me just go ahead.
I'll say this too. The one thing that I think that everyone would agree with is that, or would say that I was doing wrong, was driving on a suspended. Because I don't believe that he could actually convict me on following too closely. So really, all of this is fruit of a poisonous tree, anyways, because I believe it was an unlawful stop to begin with. But to most people, I don't think that they even really want to consider that. It's just like, hey, man, well, you didn't have the license though. And that's why I kind of got used to realizing, well, that's how people are. It's not a fight I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to give them the money. That's what they want.
Speaking of the money, what was the economic fallout of this? How much did this end up costing you personally?
It was like $250 to get my car out of impound. They released me on a signature bond, no money. I was, from the time he turned on his lights until I was out of jail and had my vehicle and was back heading down the road, was less than 3 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's because you had some friends come to your aid and kind of help you out there and take you to the impound lot?
Yeah.
$250 for the impound fee, and the car wasn't even in the impound lot for 3 hours. Crazy, man.
And most people go in and yell and argue with the impound guy too. And I get it. Everything they're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, what is yell? I mean, I'll just lick their boots and try to get a discount, but it's not going to change. They're going to extort you at gunpoint. And until the majority of society can get to a point where they realize that this is actually wrong, we're not going to win these little battles.
And back to the registration thing too. That brings up a good point, because people are so, I hate to keep using the word propagandized, but indoctrinated into believing that we got to have that permission slip from government to take our property from point A to point B, because these roads right here, because taxes paid for those, and you got to pay your fair share. We got to get ourselves out of that paradigm, because that's what keeps us in the hamster wheel of totalitarianism. As long as we think we need government's permission to do things that we have a perfect right to do, as per some Supreme Court cases and some other court cases in the past, which people like to just forget about, nothing is going to change. Nothing. And they will continue to see, James, well, you deserve this because you didn't bow down and lick the boots of government and get that permission slip from the teacher.
And the thing is, I try to pick my battles. I don't see that as a winning battle in the general public right now. But I mean, 6 years ago, myself and Clash with Bow were trying to record inside of courtrooms. And that was a losing battle at that time. Everybody was saying, no, that's inappropriate. There's no reason for you to have a camera in there. Just 6 years later, all of a sudden, people are starting to see logic and reason and seeing, wait a second, it is a public hearing. All trials and hearings are supposed to be public. What is the secret? We're not talking about going in there and making a big to-do or, being crazy. We're saying it should be recorded in one way or another.
Yeah.
But 6 years ago, 7 years ago, the majority of even my audience couldn't see that. And so that's why I say, I try to pick my battles and say, what do I think the general public is willing and ready to get on board with, and what are they not?
Right. And as far as police are concerned and their mere existence, if there was going to be an existence of a government official who's going to extract the tax cattle funds from the people in their community, which is extortion by the barrel of a gun and just simply theft, if there was going to be a legitimate purpose, it wouldn't be this, right? It wouldn't be the harassment of somebody who literally didn't threaten anybody, didn't harm anybody, didn't steal anybody's stuff, didn't rob a bank. They're literally treating you like you're the suspect of a bank robbery or something because you didn't pay. Well, do you think their initial reason for pulling you over is because they found out that you had, no registration, or do you think it was because he thought you were following too close and didn't use your blinker?
No, it's because I had out-of-state plates in a minivan.
Okay.
And the reason I say that, when the guy who picked me up from jail told me this, and I said, yeah, shut up, dude. I'm tired of hearing people's nonsense about, and to me, it was nonsense. He pulled me over because I have a minivan and out-of-state plates. So right there on that corridor of freeway between Oklahoma and Arkansas on I-40, they do drug interdiction.
Yes.
And they stop almost every single vehicle with out-of-state plates, especially a minivan with a middle-aged man driving by himself. So there's a lawsuit currently. The Institute for Justice currently has a lawsuit against them right there in that county for doing exactly that, for profiling a vehicle, lying and saying he committed a traffic infraction when he didn't, and pulling him over, harassing him, and searching his vehicle.
Wasn't there a large amount of money involved in that stop too?
I'm not sure that there was another one just on November 1st, just 4 days ago, where they just were bragging about a huge bust on I-40. Same thing. They pulled over a vehicle with an out-of-state plate. That's just their MO. That's what they do. If you've got out-of-state plates, you're getting pulled over. And if you don't have drugs and you let them search your car, you're going to be on your way with a warning. But if you don't comply, then you're going to get punished.
Yeah, and there was an ABC7 local affiliate that exposed the fact that the bulk of the stops, I can't remember which way the drugs, there's an east-west corridor,
Right.
that's the I-40, and
Yep.
I can't remember which direction it was, but one of the directions is more drugs come in, one direction is more money goes out, and they focus their attention on where the money is. They don't really care about the drugs. They just want to get the cash under civil asset forfeiture.
That's right. And actually in this area right now, they're trying to say, no, that's not what it was about. The drugs go east and the money goes west.
Okay.
And that was what they were doing. Now they're actually getting the drugs. So they are pulling over cars going eastbound. They're not even on the westbound side anymore. They're trying to prove, oh no, it was never about there. Yeah.
What I like about that ABC7 thing that I remember from about 6 or 7 years ago is that they actually employed, it was either a drone or a helicopter, and they actually saw the cops get into position and then pull these people over, and actually had the evidence that the people who they pulled over didn't even commit a traffic infraction.
Yep.
All right, we're going to get back to this, but I do want to point this out right here in the video is several times the guys in this gas station or this tire shop, when they had an opportunity, and this is how clueless Boobus Americanus can be. Anytime you see a cop pulling one of your fellow Americans over, it would be a good idea, not only for yourself potentially in the future, but for the person who's possibly being harassed, more likely being harassed by that cop, as an insurance policy to protect your fellow Americans. One of the most American things you can do, in fact, one of the most freedom-minded things you can do, is pull out a camera and everybody's got them, so there's no excuse. But they didn't do it for James. So let me go.
So what they were more worried about, and understandably so, as a business owner, I would be too. The cop was blocking a garage. They were trying to get cars in and out of there. So they were obstructing business operations.
Yeah.
Is what the police were doing there. And that's why they kept walking around like, hey, when are you going to finish this up? Are you guys almost done? We got customers here. So,
yeah.
nobody matters but the police.
Yep, exactly. Everything, they'll close off an entire freeway for freaking no reason and inconvenience thousands of people just so they can get their just due, or what they think is their just due. Now he went and he actually put his hand on the handle of James's minivan.
Open the window or I'm going to break it.
Tried to open it.
Step out.
I'm gonna break it.
So, Brian, this also, if you notice, I mean, I know we talked for a while between this, but he went from asking for my license to coming over and trying to get in my car. And I was getting him the stuff he was asking for. I was going to give him an ID. I was getting the insurance. He was still asking. So my wife sent the insurance, but the picture was like portrait mode. So when I turned it, he couldn't see it well. So she was resending another picture. The point is, I was getting the thug what he wanted. Now, I didn't have a license, but he would have gotten an ID card eventually. You just... I was being very casual and slow about it. And I was more concerned with my phone calls than him, which is really what made him mad.
If you were to give somebody advice who found themselves in a similar position to this, what would you, what are the steps that they should do to ensure, number one, that they're safe, number two, that they record and document? I mean, like, what are the steps you go through? Do you have like a checklist in your mind?
I'm not used to getting pulled over. Like it hasn't happened actually since I started my YouTube channel. It used to happen all the time. But I would recommend having a dash cam, which I didn't have one going. Because then you don't have to worry about shuffling around to get a camera going. And most people do have their insurance on their phone now. And so when you show your insurance, I would rather take the ticket for no insurance than stop the recording to show him the insurance. I had two phones though. So I was able to show him the insurance on one. And I mean, but in reality, I know people want to talk about, oh, you got to be a badass and assert your rights and tell the cop how it is. That's not real life, man. I would recommend dealing with the police the same way that you deal with an armed robber. I really, really would. Recognize that they're the gun in the room, that they are going to use any amount of force and violence against you to get what they want.
Yep.
And I mean, so yeah, the easiest way is put your hands up. Don't make any sudden moves. Don't say things that are going to trigger them, like ignoring them and talking on the phone, you know, like I was doing. All these things are bad ideas. It's just a good way to get tased and get the crap beat out of you.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest takeaway of this video, the most valuable and most important, because you know you want to make it back to your wife and kids. You want to make sure, if you're, especially if you're the sole provider of your household, you don't want your life to end because you did something that you knew was going to tick the cop off. One of the things that these cops absolutely don't like is for you to bruise their fragile egos to begin with, because when that happens, pretty much all bets are off. Oops, I thought I reached for my taser. I didn't know it was my gun. Too bad James is gone now. Well, guess what? There's not going to be this long train of blue lights, cherries, and berries for James's funeral. But if somebody takes out a cop, man, they're going to wrap around for 2 or 3 city blocks and shut everything down.
You know, the tough thing too is I think that a lot of times we want to be able to talk our way out of something or get out of it. These guys are going to do what they're going to do to us. And so no amount of talking or negotiation is ever going to help us.
Yeah. And always remember, if they've got a body cam and a dash cam rolling, whether you do or not, it's always good to have your own, but there's something being recorded. Just remember that there's going to be, possibly, if you live through the experience, there's going to be a judge or a jury, you know, preferably a jury, that's going to take a look at this. And you want to make the balance so uneven that you were the good guy and he was the bad guy, that it almost gives the jury no choice but to decide in your favor. You always want to think about that.
Arkansas, you're in Van Buren, Arkansas.
Van Buren, Arkansas.
Step out.
Let me get my shoes on. They're right here.
Oh yeah, I had my shoes off too, so I was actually trying to put my feet into my shoes. That's why I'm stalling at this point, but you know, slowly and casually.
You know, I always heard it was illegal to drive with your shoes off. That's not true, is it? That's never been true, has it?
I don't know. Felt pretty comfortable to me.
You know, I know it seems comfortable, but it's I don't know why it would be illegal to drive with your shoes off. I don't know. It makes no sense.
Set your phones in your seat. You're gonna step out for me.
I'm making my phone's on me.
So you can set your phones there. There's a recording right there.
It's recording right there, and you can trust me. You can trust me, James. I'm not going to lose that recording, no matter how I act out. It doesn't matter. We'll get this to you in about 6 to 12 months, too.
Step out of the vehicle.
James, you're not stepping out of the vehicle fast enough. Damn it!
Yeah, I was trying to slide my shoes on.
Step out of the vehicle, or I'm going to remove you. Step out of the vehicle. Step out of the vehicle.
So I think this is the point where people, the original person that posted this was Arkansas police activity or something. And people in the comments were saying that I just kept talking to the cop. I was on the phone. I was talking to the person on the phone. That's what was going on there. Like I said, trying to make sure that he knew where I was at and everything. So
this cop reminds me of a parent saying, Johnny, 1, I told you before, 2. It's like his words are meaningless. He already threatened to break your window. He's already asked you for your ID like 25 times already.
At that point, though, when he said he was going to break my window, I did look at him. I was like, really, dude? Really? You're going to destroy my stuff? Like, relax, man. You're going to get everything you want. Just, I mean, I didn't say it to him, but I was just thinking, man, what a freaking psycho, dude.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind, James, this trooper has all this pent up energy. There's a pit maneuver out there he's been deprived of, and he's got it. He needs his pound of flesh, man.
Yep.
Van Buren, Arkansas.
Yes, sir. Step out of the vehicle, or I'm going to break the window.
That's the second time he's
going to break the window. Step out now.
My God, he's got to be. If he's a parent, I really feel sorry for his kids.
Or a husband.
Oh God, you know what's going on.
I said sandwich now. Now.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not wearing this wife beater for nothing.
Arkansas, about to be arrested by
He's refusing to get out.
Oh, he's calling for backup. As he was calling for backup, James opens the door. He's like, oh, it's open now.
Yeah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Put your hands on your back.
State trooper. State trooper.
Put your hands on the back of your head.
State trooper, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Here's another thing. This, oh my God, this gets all over me. You signed up for a job where you get to put your hands on another man. My God, it's so shameful, man. The whole thing is so shameful. And that anybody can look at this and not see it for what it really is really baffles me.
What's
Got the
that?
cuffs on. Did he put them on tight?
All right, thank you.
I mean, I couldn't say either way. I mean,
Okay.
I've never been cuffed where it didn't leave marks on my wrists, you know?
Yeah,
They always say they're not made for comfort.
right. Yeah.
Careful.
Stick in your hand. I can't even comprehend sticking my hand in another man's pocket. Oh my God.
Dude, Brian, I'm freaking bummed. It looks like this cop doesn't actually have a body cam. I thought he had a body cam.
Oh,
I talked to him a lot when we got to the jail.
wait.
Really,
see.
I was just trolling him though. At that point, I had totally relaxed and I didn't give a shit. And so I was doing my normal trolley stuff, like when I have my camera up and I'm just trolling pigs, right?
Yeah.
But the jailer is patting me down and he pats in the front and I go, he's like, got anything in here? And he pats and I go, oh, that's my penis.
Oh,
I mean, I was just messing. I mean, you know, just lighthearted, but
when they checked you into jail, they didn't do any kind of funny business with the glove and a finger or anything, did they?
no.
Did they fingerprint you and book you in?
No, they didn't even fingerprint me.
Really?
When I got into that jail, man, they couldn't have gotten everybody who looked at the charges and they're like, what the hell are we doing with this guy who's traveling in his minivan, had no drugs, no actual criminal infractions, with a wife and 6 kids, who's traveling for work and he's in jail right now. They bumped me in front of other people in the jail, processed me, released me with no bond.
How do you know this? Where'd you get that information that they had this mentality?
Because they were saying it. I mean, when they were asking me questions, because they were asking questions to figure out if they should let me out without a bond, or if I was going to be a flight risk or something, which we can get to that in a minute too. But so yeah, they're asking me questions. Are you married? Do you have kids? Are you employed? And most of the people that come through there, they're not. They're a lot of the people I should say that come through there are repeat career criminals.
Right.
But they've got my rap sheet too. You'll see when I'm in the back of the car, they start reading off all the things I've been accused of, multiple felonies, multiple misdemeanors, all of them dismissed though. So I don't know. I licked boots in there. They liked me and they let me out pretty quick.
So let's go back and let's see. He didn't have a body cam. Let's see. No, that's his. Yeah, you're right. That's his mic right there. Yeah, I don't see a body cam. You're right. Unless that's a body. No, that's not a body cam on his belt.
I don't answer questions. Okay.
And then I answered questions.
Careful.
Did you?
I was trying to screw with him there though. He was like, you got anything sharp in your pocket? And I was like, I don't answer questions. He starts reaching in. Careful. I was just trying to be a dick.
Keys. I think there's keys there. I don't want you to get poked by them.
I don't do.
I don't think there's
You're so caring, James. You're so caring.
anything else at all in my pockets. I don't think.
Look, man, Brian, if I didn't want to get poked by something in another man's pocket, I wouldn't put my hand in another man's pocket.
No, exactly. When I first saw this at the Arkansas Police Accountability or whatever the channel was that launched this, I was expecting you to go, ooh, oh man, a little to the right, a little to the right. That would have been classic.
No firearms in the vehicle either.
Which is a real bummer, Brian. There was no firearms in there. We had just taken the car in for service days before I left. And when we take it in for service, we take the guns out. And I forgot to put the gun that goes. We have guns that go with each vehicle.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so
do you think it would have gone a different way if you did have a firearm in the vehicle?
Well, I mean, it's totally legal and lawful, but I don't know what they do when they go and impound your vehicle if they take that firearm and now I got to go get that from property, or if they leave it with the vehicle.
Yeah. You know what I want to start doing? I want to start driving around, and in honor of Flex Your Freedoms, I want to have a baggie with a little Coke in it, and I want to have some Mary Jane so that I can go, now there's nothing of interest in my vehicle except for that baggie with a little Coke in it. And then there is that big baggie of Mary Janes. You might not want to check my vehicle out.
Yeah. I love that guy.
I do too, man. It's just so classic. How'd you get here? I'm airborne qualified, sir. Rondé Johnson is a legend, says Eric Farmer.
Hey, what's up, Goodman? Done better, man. Trying to go about my day.
Who are you talking to here? Is it another trooper that just pulled up?
Yeah, and he says, "Hey, how you doing?" And I said, "Been better, man. Just trying to go about my day." You know, exactly as it is.
It's like
Just-
a carjacker's in the middle of carjacking you, and then his buddy comes along to help him carjack, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing today?" Just small talking with you. It's so psychotic.
At this point, I'm starting to relax a little bit more too. There comes a point, at least for me, when it's like, man, you already realize what's going to happen, and nothing you do or say is going to change it. If you just
Yep.
relax and just take the ride, you know,
Yeah, just maintain your integrity. Don't start bagging and stuff like that.
yeah.
It's still recording. We make sure that. Hey, can we make sure that's still recording for me?
Make sure it's still recording. James says about his phone that's now on the hood of the trooper's car.
Go ahead and set that up here for me, okay?
See, he wanted to start small talk. He asked, "How are you doing?" That's
Yeah.
like something that someone who's trying to be a decent human being would do.
Yeah.
Also, I think a decent human being would make sure my recording is still going.
Right,
But
right.
To me, it's just like, man, that you guys never actually are. You're not decent people. You're not.
Yeah, yeah. How you doing today, James? Well, I'm being kidnapped. I'm in the middle of being kidnapped, and you're about to steal my vehicle. Other than that, I guess I was doing okay. Right now, not so much.
Thanks for your service, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. God. But, you know, thankfully, what takes the edge off all this, it is the land of the free, home of the brave. Thank God. Thank God.
Right.
Oh, here James goes back in the car right here.
Please.
Oh man, there's no leg room in there. Where do I put my legs? Should I go sideways or what? Sideways and put my feet on the seat or what? Yeah, now you fit it.
Was it hot in the back of that car?
No, I think it was a pretty nice day anyway, so pretty cool. But I am intentionally making. I could have easily gotten in that car.
Yeah, you're making it look harder than it is.
Of course.
You know what's always baffled me about this is when they run your record, they find out that you're not this hardened criminal who's escaped from a penitentiary after killing 10 people, and they still make the decision because they do have discretion. They can say policy all day long, but they still have discretion to at least maybe put the cuffs in front. At the very least, you got to sit on your hands. I've only been in that position once. It was when I was 18 in Florida, and I don't remember the experience very well, but I can't imagine that that's very comfortable sitting on your hands that are cuffed with these metal things that are digging into your wrists.
No, it's not. And I'm getting older too, starting to have more back problems and stuff. So by the time I got to the jail, it was only a 5 or 10 minute drive. My back was hurting pretty good, more than my wrist. Actually, that's probably why I didn't even recognize how tight the cuffs were. My back was killing me from sitting the way I was in that seat. So
Yeah, most people don't talk about these little things that when you add them up, they really make a huge difference. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about the incessant nerve pain I experienced from my shoulder ever since that day. I forgot to tell you about the carpal tunnel I've now developed from the cuffs being on my wrist. Oh, I forgot to tell you that, I hurt my lower back because that seat is so freaking uncomfortable. There's so many things that people don't consider. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, they did a body cavity search on me and tried to really just ram something. It's just, there's so many disgusting things that go along with this that nobody ever talks about.
And if you were kidnapped by a private kidnapper, all of those things would be considered legitimate. But because you were kidnapped by a badge kidnapper, it's, well, you should have obeyed.
Right.
And that's why I don't even usually bring this stuff up. And when this happened, I wasn't even, this is part of living in the US of A. It's just part of it. Yep. Sometimes you have to get beat up. Sometimes you have to go to jail, and all the time you have to give them your money. That's just part of living here.
Right. I don't think there was much more to this, was there? This is pretty much it.
So he starts going through to inventory the stuff in my vehicle, and he sees all the camera tripods and camera holders and computer equipment, and he goes, I wonder if he's an auditor.
Oh, did he say that?
My wife was on the phone. So I still had my wife on the phone, and the phone was in the car, and she heard it too. So.
Oh, interesting. That's very interesting. So let me ask you this. I mean, I know there's a lot of channels out there that are these anti-auditors, which they call everybody frauditors channels, and they're the first to applaud the arrest of James Freeman. If you were going to say something to him, which you don't really need to if you don't want to, but what would you say to somebody like that, or their massive brain dead sheeple audiences who also applaud because they applauded?
I like to try to see other people's perspectives, and I can see the perspective of these people, some of these people that decide that they hate frauditors. I think that if me and you were honest with ourselves, that we could admit that there are a lot of people out there who call themselves auditors and cop watchers who do and say some really stupid stuff. I personally have done and said some really stupid stuff. So just like, mocking and pointing out the ridiculousness of the government, I think that when I do and say things that are ridiculous, why not point it out, mock it? There are some among them who just hate because they want to hate. They just want someone to hate and someone to talk trash about. And those guys I don't have any respect for. But to the trolls, I mean, I don't block people. I don't block. You don't either.
Yep.
I think that there are those who really just want to hate people and have hate in their heart, and that's what they want to do. And there are others who just don't understand. And if we could have a reasonable, logical conversation with them, they could come around and start to understand over time, because I was one of them. Even after driving on a suspended for 19 years, I was in that mentality that, well, we have to do what they say, man. And you're the problem because you're the one who's not doing what they say. I don't know. It's I don't hate them.
No, I agree with what you're saying here, because I've always said if one of these trolling channels was my neighbor, I would want to stand out at the mailbox and talk with them and try to have some kind of logical discussion, try to figure out where they're coming from, and if they were interested in finding out where I was coming from. The bottom line is we have a human experience, and it's easier to burn a bridge than it is to build it. And I really think the man of integrity would go out of his way to seek to build that bridge instead of burn it, because it is there's some kind of passage in some proverb somewhere from a long time ago. It says something like, any fool can start a quarrel, any fool can bring evil into the world, but it takes a truly good man and somebody with integrity to go that extra mile and bring some goodness into the world. So if I was going to talk to a troll who is dogging you or me for getting in trouble for not having a license and bowing down to the boot, I would just say, man, when people are out here in the goodness of their heart to turn the cameras on people who call themselves public servants, and those public servants are actually acting like public nuisances, we do this so that you can be more free to sit behind your desk to criticize us. Because truly, this isn't the land of the free, home of the brave. It is the land of the fee, home of the slave. And I want to say this to you publicly. I really appreciate all the stuff that you've gone out there to do. And I know the reason you did it. You and I have spent a lot of time talking behind the scenes together. And I just feel like you're somebody who's got good intentions and your heart's in the right place. So I appreciate what you do.
Thank you, man. I wanted to see if you would bring one more person up on this stream, though, because I wanted to, if you have time, this is your stream. Do you have time?
Yeah,
for more?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. I want to address something that you talk about on your channel, right to travel. I think that people have a right to travel. Government doesn't recognize it, though. And there's a lot of people, I'm sure people noticed, I didn't tell the cop, oh, I have a right to travel, or a USC this or that, or here's a code and a statute.
Yeah.
And the reason, no matter what I believe my rights are, I have an understanding. Well, I think I have an understanding of the reality of how things really go. There's some guy that if I can message him right now and ask him to come up on here. He's telling me that had I just told the cop about my all caps name or something along those lines, that the cop would have let me go. And so I'm going to see if he'll come up, if that's all right. And
no, go ahead. Yeah. And while you're let me speak to that a little bit, because I've heard people say this a lot. By the way, Cody Reed, I appreciate it too, man. Thank you for that. $100 super chat. That's crazy and very humbling. I appreciate it. But speaking along these lines, I do talk with people and I want to hear their perspective, because they talk in such a way where if you just say these words in this right way and you quote this Supreme Court case, they will let you go. Everything's going to be all right. True real life doesn't work like that. I don't care how calm you are. I don't care how articulate or how knowledgeable. And the reason I say that is this. we already have 18 USC 241 conspiracy against rights. We have USC 242, 18 USC 242 deprivation of rights under color of law. And there's already a prescription in US code that handles people who claim to be law enforcement here. And while James is getting on the phone, let me bring up 18 USC, specifically 242, because there is a prescription that the US code actually says that nobody follows. And it says whoever, this includes judges, lawyers, attorneys. This includes, thank you, Fallon, I appreciate that. This includes senators, congressmen, presidents, governors, whoever under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured by the Constitution, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years or life or both, or may be sentenced to death. Since we already have that on the books and cops don't even give a damn about it, it doesn't matter how articulate you are, how knowledgeable you are, how correct you are. You could have a whole binder of Supreme Court cases. Maybe sometimes they'll let you off, but there's no guarantee. You know, like we saw Paul Enslaved. He had a rational discussion with that cop in Colorado for about 45 minutes, and the cop just let him go. It doesn't work like that in the majority of cases. So, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Is that where the direction you were headed with that?
Yeah. Because I mean, I get this guy reached out to me earlier today and basically had told me, well, it was a buddy of his, I guess. Told me, had you known about the all caps name, you wouldn't have gotten arrested. And I was like, and I'll tell you what, it kind of bothers me, man, that there are people out here who are trying to tell other people that there's some kind of silver bullet that's going to stop the state from attacking you, because so many people buy into it. Yeah. And they truly believe, man, the next time I get pulled over, I'm just going to show them this stack of papers and I'm good to go. Yeah. And then they get the crap beat out of them. And then people say, oh, well, James, you're just a pessimist because you don't believe it's going to work. Man, let's take, for example, this right to travel stuff too is it's a far reach. Most people don't believe in this, that you do have that right in society. So one, you're likely not going to win a jury trial anyways, no matter what. But also, I think we've strongly established that Jeff Gray has a right to hold his sign saying, God bless the homeless veterans, right? I think that's something the majority of the United States, of U.S. citizens, even bootlickers and hardcore status, can agree Jeff has a right to do that. And yet he got arrested just 2 days ago or 3 days ago for doing that. So even with something so greatly established, you're still going to get arrested. But and so for people to think that they're going to take this fringe, stuff about, oh, well, all I have to do is hand him a stack of papers and tell him about a yellow fringed flag and he's going to let me go. That's not reality.
Yeah. And not just absolutely established in law, but I mean, think about it. You can't get a more perfect, solid, ironclad example of deprivation of rights than interfering with a guy holding a sign saying, God bless the homeless vets. Can you get a more pure message that everybody can be on board with? Mm-hmm. If that's not going to do it, no amount of you citing Supreme Court cases about how you have the right to travel and how you can't be subject to forced insurances and registration and all that kind of stuff. It's if Jeff Gray cannot walk down a road, a public street with such a wholesome sign, pretty much all bets are off for what the law enforcers are going to do.
And really it applies to everything. And I wish more people would see this. I like seeing more people get out and point out that government is nothing but an armed thug. But I wish more people would realize, just like you already said it, just because you know the law, you can know all the law, all the case law, you can even print it out and have it there in person. When the guy with the gun standing right there is willing to hurt you, nothing else matters. Just like when you put a gun-free zone on the outside of a school, the guy who's going to break the law, the guy who doesn't care, he doesn't care.
Yep. And basically, I call the gun-free zones, just talking about that, which correlates with everything you went through and everything people go through every single day. There are 50 100,000 traffic stops in America every single day. That's a lot of traffic stops. They generate a windfall revenue of over 6.2 to 6.8 billion dollars every year. That's just in the average $150 speeding ticket, not counting seatbelt tickets, jaywalking tickets, and other citations. So when you have this kind of incentivization program, and Slash, I said it, I put it on the screen right here. All of this is about generating money. When you're incentivized to do evil and your paycheck is dependent on whether you're going to do evil or not, the people who've already signed on the dotted line are going to go through with that evil, no matter how nice and convincing your words may sound.
Yeah. And I want to say a lot of there's people who say that I'm a sovereign citizen because I believe in certain rights that they don't. But here's the thing. I believe that a lot of the things that the government does is wrong, but I still comply. Like you said, it's all about generating money. It's all about money. I don't argue. I just give them their money. And so I'm just saying that it's wrong, though. I comply. I get in line, but I'm saying it's wrong.
Let me ask you one last thing. We had a conversation. I think that you said this on a live stream one time or some video. You were saying that you're basically recording the downfall of mankind. Are you still in that kind of mental mode?
I would say the downfall of a society. I don't think necessarily mankind altogether, but societies come and go, build and crumble throughout history. And that's what they do. And yes, I absolutely believe that the society of the United States of America, and I think even societies worldwide I think more so in the US though, is absolutely crumbling. And I don't think there's any turning back from it. And, it just is what it is. Some people, you could perceive that as a good thing or a bad thing. But I think we've come too far, and it doesn't mean that it can't be rebuilt in a good way, though. I don't think it's the end of the world or the end of humanity. It's the end of this particular bull crap.
Yeah. And I'm hopeful for it too, because hopefully when we have these live streams, I hope that I don't think that everything that we do is for nothing, because I believe that there is something called truth. I think there is something about to being righteous as opposed to being evil. And I think that if we can plant seeds, whether we see them grow and germinate or not, it's irrelevant. The question is, what are we going to do at this present hour? So I will always try to speak to the human side of the the thin blue line gang member, in the hopes that hopefully we can have a better future, because you got kids, I got kids, a lot of people in the audience have kids, and if we don't do something to stem the tide, who knows what America is going to look like in the next decade.
Someone in the chat says jaded and cynical, but that's not it. I have absolute hope, and I believe that humanity will progress and become better. I do not, however, have hope that we're going to become better by violently attacking our neighbors. We are going to have to overcome certain things in order to progress. I strongly believe in that progression. But when I tell people, well, I don't go vote, or I don't support the police, well, you don't believe we can fix it? You're going to have to get past these ideas if we will progress. We will. And I think more importantly, I love the reason that it's important to continue doing what we're doing is not to save this particular society. It's because I think these seeds are being planted, and whether we see them grow or not after this society collapses, we are documenting what happened. And people will be able to look at it and go, oh, you know what? They were right. That was a serious problem in society, and that did cause, a downfall. So let's not do that again.
It's kind of like Ron Paul. Everybody's looking back 12 years later going, well, God, maybe we should have done that.
Right.
All right, brother. Hey, I really appreciate you coming on. This was an unexpected surprise, and I really appreciate it. I benefited greatly from it. Hopefully the audience has too.
Thanks for having me on, man. Been wanting to do this for a while. So thank you.
Take care.